Hi guys, this is Atco. I started setting up a game room. Used to be a living room that I thought I'd be able to use it more for things that I remembered and just give it things that I could enjoy. So I started putting in radios and jukeboxes and pinball machines and 8-tracks and all kind of different things that meant something to me growing up. I want to talk a little bit about the radios though today. Back in the one corner of my game room, it's primarily the area where I kept up a bunch of old antique radios. And I have them for one reason. They're not only the radios that I wanted, but the actual models that I did have at one time, and they meant something to me. Not the exact one I had before this had passed, but I had been able to get those models again, primarily from eBay. So I thought I'd go through these right now and show you these. Now the first one I'm going to go into is this RCA. It's an X56. This was, my parents got married in 1946. This was a gift for their marriage. Of course, my sister was born the next year, and she's about 5 years older than me, and then I came out in the early 50s. And I remember that radio was always in the house. We always had it either in, it's been in the kitchen, it's been in the patio, it was even in my room for a while. One reason along that it died, and we lost it somewhere in the 60s. But I remember that radio. I wanted to have that. So that was the first one that I went to find, and I got that one day on eBay, and it's working, and so I like that one. So let me move to the next one. This one here is an RCA. It's a master nipper. Well, I used to go to see my uncle. We used to go to his place every Sunday, bring him home, and we would have lunch, and he always had a meal with us every Sunday. And I just remember that old radio he had. Now that one was a Bakelite. I like it. I probably wouldn't have looked for that by myself, but I found that once out of Hamfest, and it was pretty much the same model, except this one was in wood. Got that at a Hamfest. I think it was around $20 or something like that, and it came out in 1939. So I grabbed that one, and I like that one too. Okay, this next one is an Emerson from 1941. Now this was, my grandmother had this radio in her house, and I remember always seeing that. And one thing that has a real meaning to me was that my grandfather passed, and grandmother had to go into an apartment, and myself and my mom and I think my sister, we spent 3 weekends painting the new apartment and fixing it up for her and all that stuff. And I remember we took that radio with us and used that radio the whole time. And when I saw that once on eBay, and it was the exact same model that she had, so I had to get that one. So I have that one as well. Alright, now this next one is GE. It's a Transistor from 1957. That was my sister's 10th birthday, and my grandmother gave her that, and that was the first transistor radio we had in the house. And my sister had that all the time. She loved it. Of course, I always wish I had one like that, and she would let me use it once in a while, but it stayed in her room, and I just remembered that, so I wanted to have one of those to remember those. And then this other one that's right behind it. Now this one doesn't really have a real meaning to me, but I wanted to have one of those clock radios from the 50s or early 60s, because everybody had one of those. Anybody's house you went, they had one of those, and I wanted to have one of those too. Okay, now like I said, my sister had the first transistor radio. A few more years later, I was old enough to get something like that for my birthday, and I guess I was probably, I think I was not even 10 at that time, but my parents gave me a Motorola Ranger transistor radio. Really nice little unit from 1960. Very well built, leather case on it. The only thing I remember with that, batteries didn't seem to last very long, but other than that, I remember that. Okay, and then I remember now, anybody from my age, or anywhere actually probably from the 45 and older, these transistor radios was something that everybody had to have one back in the 60s. That's when the price had come down really good and everybody could afford a transistor radio. So I've been picked up quite a few of these going to Hamfest, and a couple of them on eBay when I wanted particular models, and I got at least a dozen of them spread around the game room. But this one particular, a Motorola, it's the first transistor radio that I ever bought for myself, and that was probably somewhere in the 66, 65, 67, something in that range. I remember that thing had died a long time later, and I wanted to have that one back, and this was one of the last ones that I have picked up on eBay, and eventually found the same model that I had, so I'm glad to have that thing. Now this next one, it was in the 1970s. I was in junior college. I was staying with my parents. I had to make sure that I had something that would keep me up in time to go to my classes, and I went out and bought this Panasonic flip clock radio from 1971. I thought it was really cool because real technology with that flip was real popular at that time, and I bought this radio. It was just a good little radio. Again, somewhere along the line I lost that one, but I picked this one up on eBay again. I'm glad to have that. That's a very collectible one. Alright, now those are mostly the ones that meant something to me. But also, if you go through most of my videos, you know, a couple weeks ago I went to a antique radio museum in Bowie, Maryland, and I got kind of into it. It was a very interesting tour that I had. I decided I wanted to try to get a couple older radios in my collections. So I got on Craigslist, and I found a guy who was selling two of antique radios, and I bought both of them. I got both of them for $125, and one is a this Philco model 89, and it works. I don't think it was completely restored, so I haven't just used it without keeping an eye on it, but at least plugging it in, it seems to work well, and it's in beautiful shape. So I got that one, and then along with that he had RCA Radiola model 17 that was built in 1927. He said it works. Couldn't really see it hardly at all because it didn't have a speaker. We connected it to a regular 8-ohm speaker, and you could just barely hear something coming out of it, although it would pick up a station, so that sounded good. But he said it was because of the speaker is different than the ones back from the 20s. So I had to find a speaker, and I just bought one of these on eBay and got this RCA, I think it's a 100 model speaker that is supposed to be the one that was meant for that range of the RCA speakers. Haven't had a chance to really check it out yet, but I'm happy to have that. So that's it. That's what I've got right now for my radios, and that's what I have in my game room to remember different things that meant something to me. Alright, so that's my little tour of my radios. I'll talk to you guys another time. This is Atco, signing off.